Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. I am Jennifer Scott. Today I am bringing you a blank canvas, albeit pretty flushed because I am feeling warm, but we are going to do a full face of the Sephora collection. So this video was inspired by my recent review of Sephora's latest foundation, The Best Skin Ever. I had tested this out. First I did a review on camera, and then I've been wearing it several times since, and it really inspired me to look into more of the Sephora Collection makeup. Now, I don't know about you, but every time I go to Sephora, I kind of just, ignore those two big bays in my store that are just full of Sephora Collection makeup. I'm sure there are good products there. I buy brushes there, but for some reason, I just kind of ignore that. I'm kind of dazzled by everything else that I'm there, to get purposefully or to, find the new things that have just released. So I kind of just ignore the Sephora collection. But after I tried this foundation, I thought they've got to have some good products that no one's talking about. So what I did was I went on my app and I searched out like all their highest rated products. And I went by, each category. So eyes, highlight, cheeks, like all of it. And I bought what I think are the highest rated products from each category. Now, unfortunately, when I was going through my purchases when they arrived, I noticed some things were missing, and that is totally my fault. I didn't get a primer, I didn't get a powder, and I didn't get a setting spray. Now, those three are all completely non-glamorous items. They aren't color items. They're not things that jump to my mind. I'm always like, color, I want lips, I want eyes, I definitely want mascara. You know how I feel about mascara. Of course I want highlight. So those are the things that I was searching for. Well, when the box arrived and I was like, ooh, not entirely a full face, I was kind of like, oh, who cares? I'm sure they have, some great products. But if I'm going to test their stuff out to the best of their abilities and, see how they really work, I think using my baseline products, so primers that I always like to use, my trusty, tried and true Laura Mercier setting powder, and I don't always wear a setting spray. I'm going to say 50-50 use setting sprays, so that's not such a big deal to me. So honestly, I have a complete face here if you forget about primer and powder. All right, let's jump into it. The first thing I have is the Lip Sleeping Mask in Vanilla. It is $5. Now, you know how I feel about lip balms. I buy all the lip balms. I love them. I have them in every room of my house, in my purse, in drawers. They're everywhere. You're not going to find me not moisturizing my lips, especially in the winter. So when I saw this for $5, you betcha I was getting it. And I've been wearing it for about the past week or so, and I love it. I've worn it to bed at night. I've worn it during the day. I wore it for makeup prep. I've used it many times. I'm super into it. And for $5, yeah, I'm going to be getting more of these. So for my primer, I went in with the Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer. I just use it in my T-zone and in my enlarged pore area just to fill in and give a nice smooth canvas to work with. So for concealer, I got the Bright Future Gel Serum in the shade 04 Buttercream. This is only $14. $14. Now, who knows if the shade is going to be a good match, because I purchased all of my products online, and when it comes to concealer and foundation, that is always a gamble online, but well, let's see what we can do with this. I've been going in with my concealers first because I just find that my foundation blends nicely, and then I don't have any sort of harsh lines, or I don't know. I just like the way it looks. I've also been using my finger. Now, I don't use my finger for most things that I do on my face, but for concealer, I like it. Now, this is pretty light for me. I mean, this is a light. So, probably not my shade. Yeah, definitely not my shade. And even for highlighting, it's going to be light. But we will make do with what we have. And when I put on the foundation, we'll blend this a little better. It feels like it's almost powdery. It seems to have I don't know. I feel like it might be kind of drying down more quickly than I would normally like. All right, I'm going to spread it around with my beauty blender just to blend. I mean, it is taking down the redness, which I certainly appreciate. Actually, let's try those red lines that are on the sides of my nose from my glasses, because if I don't do those, they really stick out. And sometimes foundations will cover it. And the funny thing is, though, it really shows on camera, but it doesn't show up so much in real life. The lights in the camera really emphasize every single thing that's going on under the makeup. Well, I've pretty much whited out a lot of the pink in my nose area. It is a thin formula, it's not thick. I can see that it is, you know, settling into those tiny little lines. So after we put on our foundation, I have got to set this immediately. Otherwise, I think we might have a bit of a creasy mess on our hands. Let's just do a little more. Why not? And I do have, well, I have a bunch of red marks. Recently, I had 2 pretty bad breakouts, and actually, they have left some hyperpigmentation behind. This does seem to be covering the hyperpigmentation from my recent breakouts pretty well. If I were to get this in the shade that is correct for my skin tone, which obviously I'm gonna have to go to the store to do that, no getting that online, because I think we've learned that I'm not good at choosing colors online. I've literally just turned myself into a ghost by concealing. So, thoughts so far, too light for my skin. I think that this could crease if I don't get it powdered down. As a matter of fact, it's dried pretty quickly. It's not full coverage, but it's not terrible. Okay, next up, I'm gonna go in with my Best Skin Ever foundation in the shade 11.5P. I do like this. I am thinking it is still like a little bit light for my skin, but whatever. It can't be as light as my concealer is. Now I do like using a brush with this because this product goes a long way, and I like to have a lighter coverage with it. I just think that it's really nice when it's worn that way for me. But I will go over it with a beauty blender just to make sure everything is nice and smooth. Now I like to do like the pouncing just to make sure that it's really meshing with my skin and not looking like it's just sitting on top. Now, as you can see, this foundation is light for me, but it's not bad with this concealer. Hopefully I'll be able to warm up when I use the bronzer. So I only used a half a pump on this side, and you can see how far it goes. So I guess one of the downsides of the pandemic and always being home, never going anywhere, is that I'm not wearing a full face of makeup. So I don't think that my technique is as great as it used to be. I'm kind of losing my skills a little bit. I mean, I used to wear makeup like 5-6 days a week. Now I'm just going to blend with my beauty blender to make sure that everything is nice and even and pressed into the skin. Do you hear that? Yeah, this is literally my favorite Christmas present. My mother-in-law gave this to me. This is the charm bracelet that my father-in-law gave her when my husband was born. It has the little baby shoes on it, and I love it. It literally meant the world to me when she gave it to me for Christmas. So you're gonna have to hear it. Now, is this my favorite foundation ever? No, it doesn't quite compare to my Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. However, it's a third of the price of that. So when you're saving money and your skin doesn't look bad, it's not a bad thing. And I do want to get this in another color, something that is like a little closer to my shade range. This one was picked out for me by the store employee, and those lights in the store, I swear they skew things. And I know, like, I've heard it a million times, you know, put your swatches on, go outside in the daylight and see how you like it. Well, my store in the mall is like in the middle of the mall. So for me to go outside, it's kind of a trek. So yeah, lazy girl hasn't done that. So my whole face is now set with my Laura Mercier. Moving on. Next up, we have the matte bronzer powder in the shade Mallorca, and at $18, definitely a deal. So there's the shade. It's like the medium shade. It wasn't the lightest shade. I've been doing that lately. I haven't been going for the lightest shades. I just feel like when I use the lightest shades, I have to really build them up, and who wants to put that much work into it? Not this girl. All right, so it's pretty powdery, but whatever. Get some on my brush, and let's warm up this ghostly face. All right, so immediately, this is more orange than I usually like my bronzers. I usually prefer mine to have, I don't know, I want to say like more brown and less orange. I had found over the years, because I've always been a freckly girl, that wearing orangey bronzers really make my freckles like scream. And since I've been spending a lot of time with skincare, I'm not trying to emphasize my freckles at all. And maybe if this was going on top of a foundation that was a little warmer and not so ghostly, it wouldn't be so like stark in the differences. But yeah, this isn't the shade for me. So far, I'm not doing well on shades for me. Now, here's the thing. We can make anything work. And the best way to make this work is to get it good and warm. And then I'm going to go over top of it back with a translucent powder just to kind of take down the orange. I'm just going to go with whatever was on my brush from putting on my translucent powder. And I'm just going to go over top of this just to kind of, well, blend it and kind of take down the orange. It helps a smidge. Now the bronzer itself is nice. I mean, it's not great. I have others that I really, really love. It's sheer, it's not very opaque, which I really like with bronzers, but the shade isn't right for me, and the formula just isn't my favorite. Now, let's face it, I'm spoiled. These are my two favorites, so kind of standing up to these two, you got a job ahead of you. And actually, I think I like this one from Essence even better. Sorry, Sephora. So for blush, I picked the colorful face powder in the shade So Shy. It's also $14, and I just love this shade. I thought it was like a light, neutral, pinky peach that would just give like the perfect, lovely glow. I wasn't looking for like a bright pow. I wasn't even looking for anything that compared to my other shades. I just wanted something that was going to be light and fresh. Now this one, I couldn't help myself. I have used a couple times. I thought it would be lovely with my new Pat McGrath highlighter, and I was right. They're a delightful duo together. Let's see how they look on this face. Now, because this has like a pinky peach, it does blend nicely with this kind of more orangey bronzer. I can tell I'm going to have a more, well, orangey corally look, I think, today. You know I love to go all over my face with my blush. And I always use more than is necessary because it's the first to wear off. But also, when I go over it with a finishing powder, that really takes down the color. So I want to make sure I have enough color that's going to really hold up. So right now, she looked like a clown. Now, is this my favorite formula of blush ever? Not really. Here's the thing with blushes. I want them to be matte, but I don't want them to be a flat matte. I want there to be just the slightest, like, silky luminosity to it. I don't want it shiny. I don't want it pearly. I don't want it reflective, but I want it to be, I don't know. I want it to just slightly glow, but even glow is too strong a word. But when it's too flat and matte, I don't know, it makes my skin look too dry. And right now, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. All of these things are kind of really making me look drier than I would really want to be right now. And for $14, I'm like, $14 isn't like a ton of money, but I don't know. I don't think that this formula is right for me. All right, moving on to the fun stuff. This is their Illuminate palette. And this was fun because, well, it's a highlighting palette, obviously. So I always love a highlighting palette because options, like you're gonna have colors for your skin throughout the year. And here we have the Illuminate palette. So this is normally $29. And the day I was shopping, it was half off. It was $14.50. So I have a 6-pan highlighting palette for $14.50. Like, I don't know how you can go wrong with that unless the formula sucks. So let's try out a couple colors and see what we think. All right, so right off the bat, this pink up here is really speaking to me. This champagne, of course, is speaking to me. This white says inner corner highlight like it is nobody's business. But let's see if we can do some swatches on my arm and actually see something. Usually with highlighters, you can't really see great swatches, but let's see what we can do. All right, so from top to bottom, this is the one that I was most excited about. This is the pretty gold one. That's the center top. Yeah, that is probably too gold for me. This here is a nice champagne that I might be able to work. It's a little yellowy, but I'll give her a shot. Then the bottom row. This is the white shade. Yeah, it's pretty white. These are all, they're not as chalky as I would think. And they are a little more translucent, which is great. This is the one here that I thought I might be able to do, like the champagne-y one, the bottom middle. And then here is the pink that is pretty icy. So there's the shades. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go with this one. And actually, I think I'm going to go with this one. Like I thought, we're going to go with this one here and this one down here. So I was able to wipe them off my arm very easy with just a couple swipes of a dry towel. So that doesn't give me a lot of hope for like longevity, for staying on my cheeks throughout the day. But let's see how we like the colors. First in with this pink shade. You know I like to load up my brush and then really knock it off. The palette doesn't have a mirror. That's fine. For $14.50, I'm okay with that. All right, let's just hit the high points here. It's okay. I think it's a little icier than I want. Let's do the other cheek and the champagne and see how we like that one better. Let's go over on the other cheek with this one here and see if we like that shade any better. Yeah, I like that shade better, especially with these like more orangey undertones of the bronze and the cheek color. Yeah, that one's definitely better than that. Do you have a preference? I know I do. Yeah, for sure. Actually, I really like that a lot. Now, it may be a bit warm for this time of year, but come summertime, gorge. And because I don't mind looking like a clown, I'm gonna go with this here on the bridge of my nose. It's subtle, which I always say I can use some subtlety in my life. Yeah, it's pretty. I am going to go back in with this one here over top the pink side because right now I'm not feeling it, and it could be just because of, you know, the orangey other colors that I'm wearing. So it's just not meshing well. Ooh, my goodness. Yeah, that's a lot of glow she got going. That's a lot of glow. Okay, so not the worst highlighter palette, not the best. I'm going to keep on giving her some uses and see, you know, where I can take it. All right, I just primed my eyes with my MAC Painterly Paint Pot because that's the only primer I'll use on my eyes. And now I'm going to use the Sephora Retractable Brow Pencil in the shade Taupe. I think it's 1.5, and it was $12. Now, if you saw my video from the other day, I have a new brow love. I will put that up here. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use just this product alone, which is kind of breaking my heart, but let's just see what the color is like. So of course I love that there's a spoolie on the end. It actually kind of makes me mental to get a brow pencil and there not be a spoolie on the end. Like, I mean, I have spoolies, don't get me wrong, but I just like having the dual-ended ease. All right, let's go in and see how we like. Now we know brows take me a while, so I'm only gonna keep you on part of this journey so that you don't have to just sit and stare at the boredom that is my brows. The color is fine. I think that it's actually, usually taupes are pretty light, and so I like to be able to build with them. This one is seeming a little darker than I would normally go for. I like to, well, now that I know with the new Anastasia product, I can actually make my brows look bigger and fluffier than they really normally are. Using something like this that is a little darker than I would like and not giving me, well, of course it's not going to give me the fluff. It's just the brow pencil. It's a little darker than I would like for a taupe. All right, so my initial first impression, I'm not entirely thrilled with the color. I almost feel like it's just too deep, too dark. I don't know. But I think what I'm going to do is use it with my Anastasia as like maybe just drawing in a couple hairs here and there where needed. And maybe, well, we'll give her a shot doing that next time. But right now, the color just isn't what I'm looking for. One of the reasons I like to get lighter brow pencil shades, and usually taupe is the shade I get, is because I can be heavy-handed because my brows are such a pain in the ass. So because I go in and in and in, having a lighter color, when it builds, it doesn't become too dark for me. So when I have a color that's, you know, technically the right shade, but I am building to try and make something out of these brows, it becomes too much. So maybe that's user error. All right, so let's try and give this brow pencil some love. Now, is it the shade that I normally like? No. What I do like is that it's waterproof. That's a big plus for me. I like that it has a spoolie. I am gonna try it with my Anastasia next time I use it to see, because honestly, you have to use your products more than once in more than one way to really find out if you like them. It's the rare miracle where you put something on for the first time with, you know, any old applicator, whatever you're normally using, and it's perfect. Like, that's a unicorn. You have to work with your products under several different, you know, circumstances to find how they're going to perform best. Is this performing best for me under these circumstances? Not really. Is it horrible? No. Would I buy this again based on what's going on right now? No. Do I need to stop before I make myself into a clown? Yes. And now for the eyeshadow palette. This is the I Love palette. It, of course, was $14 like many of these products. I mean, at least Sephora's got a great price point for these things. Ugh, I hate all these curtains, but that's cute. So I picked this here nice neutral palette because you can't go wrong with a neutral palette in your collection. Now, one of the things that I love is this base shade. There's a big one of. I super appreciate when brands do that, because if you have like a base shade that's the same size pan as everything else, you use way more of the base shade and you go through that more quickly than everything else, and it's so annoying. So I really appreciate this setup. All right, let's give it a feel. All right, feels smooth. Ooh, nice color payoff, better than I really would have expected. Let's try a shimmer and see what that's like. Let's go with this one here. Ooh, also nice payoff. Okay, so far, so pleased. I'm gonna do just a basic eye look, something nice for every day, because, well, that's what this palette's made for. I'm gonna use that big base shade first and put it all over the lid. immediately you can see that it's definitely brightening. It is powdery in the pan, but you know what? $14. $14, $14. Who cares? I'm going to go in with this middle shade down here for my transition shade. I'm going to go just above the crease. And actually, yeah, that is more color payoff than I would have expected. However, it's kind of what I expected. But looking at that color, I wouldn't have thought it was this deep. So kudos to them for having some pigment in the pan. And I normally don't go with colors this cool, but it's nice to have shades in your collection that aren't your norm so that you can, you know, make more looks. Yeah, and here's the thing. This cool shade with these warm shades is not going to be cute. So we're going to have to do a little fussing and messing. All right, I'm now going to go with this shade right here on my lower lid, just on the outer, well, third. Yep, pretty powdery. All right, so the color payoff on this shade isn't as good as that mid-tone one that I used above the crease. So live and learn. But it is a nice color. Even though it's a cool brown, it does lean a little more neutral, which I really appreciate. This could easily be a very muddy look, and I don't love that. So this might be one of those palettes that's nice to use just two colors. So maybe using a color all over the lid and then just going in the center with one of these shinier colors and calling it a day. Maybe that's the route she should have taken. And I feel like I might be getting some fallout, so just to be sure, I'm just gonna wipe away under my eyes. There we go. Now I'm going to use this like darker color here, and I'm going to use it just to kind of line my eyes. And yeah, this is what I want. I didn't want it to be super dark, but I just wanted a little depth along my lash line. And I will take it out almost like I'm making a wing, but it's not to make a wing really. It's just to help blend the colors together. And then I will just slightly smoke it out. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, nice and basic. And 100% you should have a basic palette like this in your collection, because listen, we can't always be wearing pinks and purples and greens every day. It is nice to have a solid neutral palette for an everyday, on the go, tried and true, trustworthy palette. Now, are these colors right for the rest of the look that I have going on my face? No, but that's my fault. Now I'm going to take just the tiniest bit of this shade here to go under my bottom lash line. Okay, now we have to decide from these shades here. I think I'm going to go with this one here on the lid. I'm going to use my finger because, well, for me, it's just easier. Yeah, you get some real shine payoff though. That is nice. Like, and then you can just feather it out if you don't want to be so shiny. Yeah, that's a nice glow. Yeah, just to kind of wake up and give those eyes a little something extra. Those are nice. Now, luckily there is this nice bright shade here that will be nice for an inner corner highlight. I'm gonna do my right corner in that because I actually want to go in with the highlighter palette. There was a really light one in there and I want to see how that works. Yeah, it's brightening, but it feels kind of, I don't know. You can make anything work. So in the highlighter palette, there's this bright white down here. I want to see what this does. So that's a little more chalky. I don't really like that. Yeah, this just seems, it just seems a little too chalky to me. But we can make anything work. I'm gonna go back over my left eye with this one here that I used in my right side. Now, were either of those my dream inner corner highlights? Not really. And I'm actually finding that the shine that I had put on the center of my lids seems to be getting dull. Maybe we'll use this pink and see what that does. Let's give it a little more staying power and wet a brush. Gonna go in with my damp brush, pick up a decent amount, and place it in the center. Thoughts? I may have like expectations of shine because of some other palettes I have. So, I mean, maybe these are fine and maybe I'm just spoiled by some other things. And as it comes together, it's kind of muddy. All right, I think I'm just gonna go back in with this shade here to do my under the brow highlight and call it a day. So what do we think? Is this the palette for me? It might be that it's just too cool toned. Too cool toned for me, too cool toned for this overall look, but I'm not super thrilled with it. All right, I of course have been waiting for this. This is Sephora's new mascara, the Size Up. It's $12. Are you kidding me? So they've been kind of pushing this a little bit. I've even seen it at the checkout, and well, I really have some kind of high hopes for this. Let's see what it's gonna do. Of course I'm gonna curl my lashes. I always do. All right, let's check out this wand. I haven't even opened it. Okay, cool with that. Let's see what we think. Now, there wasn't any shades to choose from. It was just this mascara in this formula. You know I prefer waterproof, but whatever. For $12, beggars can't be choosers. So the formula feels a little bit dry. It doesn't seem as gooey as some of my most recent ones, like the Bite Beauty one. That's a pretty gooey formula. It's also not as like deep, rich black as I prefer. Like I like a black lash. It seems to be a little bit clumpy, but nothing I can't handle. All right, there's my first coat. It's pretty nice. Like, I don't hate it. Let's get those lower lashes. I'm not gonna go overboard on the lower lashes. I just wanna give them, ugh, did I get that on me? Probably. All right, a nice light coat on the lower lashes. Now I'm gonna do the other side. Okay, my initial impressions on just the first coat is that it is a little clumpy. Now, I don't mind clumps because I can use this little pick here to take it out, but usually I get clumps when I go in on my second or even third coat, so the clumps are usually my fault, but this here has its own clumpiness on the first coat. And like I say, I can pick it out. It's not a big deal, especially if I really like the formula and I like how my lashes are looking, then I don't care so much, but this is seeming, I don't know. I mean, is this the best my lashes have ever looked? No. Is it the worst? Definitely not. And for $12, I don't hate it. I certainly want to see how it lasts throughout the day, if it smudges, smears, or flakes, if it irritates my eyes. Am I going to buy it again? Probably not, because for even less money, I can get my Maybelline The Falsies, which, like, oh, damn, this girl is good. And for even less money from Essence, I can get this Lash Princess. Yeah, I think my lashes are just looking clumpier than normal, which I don't want to say that I hate that, but it's not the look that I go for. Do I like it? It's all right. It's all right. All right, and finally, to round out the look, I have the lipstick. This here is the Lip Stories Natural Wonders. It's in shade 74, which is off the grid, and it's $9. Now, I haven't even opened it yet. I haven't swatched it or anything. It's a nice, pretty neutral shade. Let's see how yeah. So that is a little more brown than what I normally wear, but who cares? It's nice to try something new. Now, because I would normally line my lips, I'm going to. And I have a nice neutral shade from Natasha Denona, so I'm going to use that before I go in with the Lip Stories. Okay, nude liner on. We're gonna go in with Off the Grid. I haven't worn a shade like this in probably 20 years. Now it feels really nice going on. There's a slight scent, a little sweet. I don't hate it. Now, is this a shade I would normally wear? Probably not. Is it good with, you know, this like orangey peachiness I have from the blush and the bronzer? Yeah, I think so. Not so much with the eyes, but here again, my fault. All right, so I'm not going to treat this look any different than I do any other look. So I am going to go in with my Hourglass just to kind of mesh everything together. And voila, there we have it. A full look of the Sephora Collection highly rated products. Now, like I said, I didn't use their primer or their loose powder or their setting spray. And actually, I don't even have a setting spray on. I just don't feel like wearing one today. But overall, I don't hate this. I like the way the lip feels. It's smooth and creamy. It's a color that I normally wouldn't have picked. I don't have this shade anywhere in my collection, so I'm happy to have it. And for $9, really cool. And in totaling up all the products that I use from the Sephora Collection, it is $132.50. That's a freaking deal. I mean, I can probably pick up 3 products on my table right now and they would be $132. The fact that I have, well, let me count them. The fact that I have 10 products for $132.50, what a friggin' deal. So should I be walking by the Sephora bays and ignoring them? Probably not. But what I really will do is I'm gonna grab a Sephora employee and say to them, show me what's the best. I wanna know the best colors, I wanna know the best formulas, what do you think? These products here were all highly rated on the app and on the Sephora website, so that's how I picked these. The only one that I picked with the help of a Sephora employee was the Best Skin Ever foundation and this shade of the blush. Everything else I picked on the app. I feel like I need a little blot. There we go. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Are you liking this? Are you liking any of the products? Do you use anything out of the Sephora Collection? Is there anything that are like your holy grail staples, either because of the texture, the finish, the color, the longevity? I want to know. I mean, if you're using something that you love, I want to use it. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey to find highly rated Sephora Collection items and put them to the test. This was kind of fun for me. If there are any other brands that you really want me to put a lot of their items to the test, let me know in the comments below. I'm willing to try anything. And if you made it this far, please subscribe. We have something in common. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you real soon.